Sorry, guys. I hope that's better. And I'll say it again. Hello, Zayden. Hello, Dylan. I'll come back to what I was just talking about then, because I think it's very, very important. But first, I want to go to the London Open and see if we can get this pound trade continuing to go. I'm going to have a good look at this today as well, at what we've seen so far, and if we can actually come up with a system to trade it. This is the bar that we want to trade, or actually, we want to trade either the bar or the range of the last three candles. This is a big fella, so not so great for me. However, we'll follow the system, and what we're seeking to do here is trade a breakout of the last three bars, or indeed the last bar, if we choose to do it that way. So today, what we're looking to do is place an entry long above that candle, so 10 pips above that candle. Let me get that right. The level, the high of that candle is, I can't see because of my control panel. Hang on, I'll just get rid of that. High of that candle is 129.66, so the entry would be 129.76. So I'll take that up to there, which is just about there. So that would be your entry for the long. Entry for the short, if you're trading the 3-bar range, would be 5 pips below that level there. That's yesterday's, so we'll just get rid of that, and we'll bring that one up 5 pips below the range. The range, 1, 2, 3 candles would be the low of that one, and that is 129.37.6. We'll go 129.32.6, thereabouts. That'll be close enough. So that'll be the entry short. That'll be the entry long on pound US dollar. We've also been tracking this on pound yen, so I'll set them there as well. Where is pound yen? Here somewhere. There we go. So pound yen will be 10 pips above this bar. 129.22 becomes, whoops, 129.20. Let me get that right. 120, 141. Where I'm getting 129 from. 141.476. Let's call it 141.48. Becomes 141.58, which will be, let's see, bang on there, right? I can't see it because of the bloody colour. But there it is there. That's the entry short, sorry, long. 1, 2, 3 bars. There's the range. So similar to pound US dollar, will be 5 pips under that bar. Let me get the parameters. I think that low is lower than the third one. We've got 141.24.5, so 125, let's call it. So we're 141.25, so we'll go 141.20 as our entry for the short. 141.20 is, I can't see that. It's interesting. That might be better. 141.20. Pretty much bang on that there. So entry long, entry short, and those of you who haven't been in the room whilst we've been doing this, this is a live system or strategy building exercise, guys. And what we're seeking to do, this is something I used to trade years ago, many, many years ago. Yes, it was this century, but not not too far into it, that's for sure. So what we're seeking to do is one of two things, and you guys are helping me with this, right? Right? Nobody's posted anything yet to suggest that they've got this nailed at this point, and certainly I haven't got it nailed either. And I can't remember the exact parameters I used to use, but there's one of two ways to trade it. And what we're looking at is the hourly bar before London Open. In this case, it's that one today, and you can do one of two ways. You can use the range of that single bar, or you can use the range of the 3 candles before London Open. So that would be that one, and that one, and that's what we're doing today, right? So we're using the high of this bar plus 10 pips as our entry, and we're using the low of whichever one of those is lower as our entry short minus 5 pips. So 5 pips underneath the low of the range here, whether it's that candle or the 3 candles, entirely up to or for us to work out which is the better way to do it. It looks very close to triggering the long here, I'd have to say. And we will come back and have a look at this particular scenario and how it's actually performed since we've been watching it, right? And if we can draw any conclusions from what we've seen so far. Now, the idea, of course, is to get into the market and get out of the market at a strategic place, therefore build a system, right, or a strategy. So that's what we need to figure out. So we'd be in that trade now if we were trading this live. I wonder, would we be in pound yen as well? Sorry, this is pound yen, pound US dollar as well. Let me look. I suspect the answer is yes, but it's not. We wouldn't be in that trade yet if we were trading pound US dollar. Some would say pound US dollar is the way to go. And that's how I used to trade it as well, pound US dollar only. So let's keep our eye on that. We'll come back to it. I want to go quickly back to the Forex factory, which has disappeared. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see that. And just give you an indication of what's coming tomorrow and for the rest of the week, because it is important. It's very much an Aussie week. Looks like you haven't got my Forex factory up yet. Why? Let me try and fix that. There we go. Hopefully that will come your way any tick of the clock. Yeah, as I was saying, it's very much an Aussie-centric week news-wise until we get to the end of the week, where, of course, we have, some would say, the headline act. I actually would say the headline act was yesterday with the EC President Lagarde speaking. Some would also flag the OPEC meetings as far as oil's concerned. And of course, we've got an interest rate coming out as well on the CAD, have we not? Yes, we do. That's tomorrow. So there's still lots of things to come. Aussie in particular is the one I want to focus on because it's taken off, and it's taken off substantially against the US dollar and other currencies. So tomorrow's GDP figures also important. Interesting, they come after the rate statement. They therefore don't influence the rate statement for the last month. But that's forecast to be bang on what it was previously. How's the GDP tracking? And you can see that's around about par, I would have thought, 0.5. It's kind of in the middle, isn't it? So, yeah, pretty non-committal there, I would have thought. Then on Thursday, we've got retail sales forecast to be a beat, and the trade balance forecast to be, I'm talking about last month's in retail sales, that's supposed to beat that figure, and the trade balance is supposed to be a little bit worse than the previous month. And then, of course, we're into CAD news and, as I said, non-farm employment change. So the Aussie is really in focus for me, and I'm just trying to gauge whether it's really applicable to even think about pullback, or is this just going to keep going? So the Aussie is expecting positive here, negative here. It's expecting similar here. Well, line ball there, flat line. So really we're not getting any indication here, and that's why I was looking at these numbers, because sometimes they'll tell you that if there's a really disparate figure here between the previous, that something's up and something's not right. And if that's the case, or better, far better than expected. So these forecast numbers are pretty close to what you would expect. So I'm not going to put any weight on them, I'll put it that way, on the news ahead. So let's go back to the charts and see what we can find in terms of potential trades today, other than the pound opening trade. Let's start with the euro. Now, the euro, like everything else yesterday, just went bazoom. That is against the dollar, as the dollar just weakened dramatically. And we saw a big number on the euro as it went from 110 to 110.80 basically, and from the bottom of our range to the top of our range. And that to me is more important than the rally, because what it does mean is that we can now have a potential trading opportunity at this level. That's of course what we're looking for at all times, and we love range trading, so let's have a good look at that. If we hit the top here, or if we come back here and put in a lower high even, that gets us interested in a short trade. Am I willing to scalp it back to the daily pivot is the question. And it pretty much would be a scalp, to be fair. When you've got a big move such as that, you're going to expect one of two things. One is consolidation, the other is retracement. At this point in time, we've got what my good friend Roy calls zero retracement, and therefore we've got consolidation in my terms. What I do see, however, is a couple of lower highs here. Don't really have a lower low, which is a little bit of a concern. But we do have the potential for this to turn into a false break. What I'd like to see to actually trade this would be price coming, let me drag out my pen, price coming underneath this range again, this range here, probably take out all the lows. So I want it below that level. I want price to get below that level, then come back and retest the trend line. And it is a genuine trend line at this stage, albeit in very, very early stages. So then I would like to place a short underneath that bar, meaning I'm coming back underneath the range, the tight range that we've had since we had the big breakout, right? And then take profit here. Most definitely take profit here. Maybe most of the position off the table at that point. Why? Because this really does have a smell of breakout, genuine breakout to me. This is not just fooling around. This is serious stuff. And for that reason, I think this is more of a scalp than a directional bias. And I'd take most of the position off there. I would leave something open just in case my analysis is wrong and we do wipe this out, this move of yesterday, and go down to here. I don't see anything wrong with that. Just leave something on the table. Make sure you're safe in the market and get most of it off at the pivots there. I think that's probably the way I'd be looking at this if we get the opportunity. When the market reverses and goes into what I will call emotive mode, it oftentimes will not even think about coming to the pivots. It'll just continue. It'll just keep going. And that may well be the case on these pairs against the dollar. I'll just give you a better indication as what I'm talking about here by going to, let's say, the 4-hour chart. And the 4-hour chart here is graphically displaying exactly what's happened. And oh, by the way, those of you who are in this euro-dollar trade with me, I have moved my stops to just underneath the pivots, about 10 pips, I think, underneath the pivots. From memory, yeah, 8 pips underneath the pivots. Why there? Because I think this level here and this level here and the combined pivots, if price gets back below there, then we're going back to the bottom. I do expect a little bit of retracement, but this is telling me that it may not be the case. And as I said, when we do reverse, in particular on pairs against the dollar, we oftentimes do not even give the pivots a look the next day, and this may well be one of those occasions. It's yet to be determined, as far as I'm concerned, whether we're going to continue this reversal, because remember, this is the euro dollar, and the euro dollar is still clearly, for mine, in a downtrend. The only thing that's happened that may upset that is if this becomes a low, which it hasn't yet, in my opinion. If this does become a low, it's therefore a higher low, and the higher low, of course, is a precursor to what may come next, which is a breakout to the high side. So to me, we're still in a bearish trend, and the potential for this just to turn around now and go south is still there. So I'm not giving up on being a bear here by any stretch of the imagination. Although, as I said, this does look to be a very, very serious move. I'd have to say that. We're at the top of the range, guys. What more can I say? If I get the inclination or the indication rather that we're going to have a lower high here, then I'll be looking to climb all over that and trade this to the short side. Very, very bullish momentum. That's why I've tightened my stops up here pretty quickly. We entered here, and I've taken profit around about this level, and I've moved my stops up to here. So this is a good trade no matter what happens. And if we continue to go high, there's my target here around about the 111.35 mark is where I'll get out of this. So that is euro dollar. As far as now is concerned, no, we do have to wait. But as I said before, if I do see this sneak back under here, take out these lows, then retest that trend line / trade line, yep, I will be trading this short, taking profit just at the pivots, right? So that'll be the plan on the euro US dollar. Now, I've been signaling both euro CAD, Kiwi CAD, Kiwi dollar to come short and take out these lows and give me an opportunity to trade long. May well have missed that opportunity here on euro CAD and similar on the Kiwi pairs, because they've just shot through. They've taken off dramatically. It's unlikely that we're going to see that in the near term turnaround. I would have thought, but never ever say never. So, did I just say never ever say never? I think so. So big breakout here. Now, the new strategy of trading breakouts is to trade them in two ways. And the first way to trade them is underneath the breakout bar. I don't think so. This is the daily chart. Let me go back to the 4-hour chart. Maybe there's something there that can entice me. But I really don't think so. And the reason I don't think so on this occasion for Euro CAD is because the breakout bar is okay. I'd be okay to trade it. It's only, what, 75 pips versus a target of 212, say. Not quite 3 to 1, but not too bad. The issue I would have is if I enter the market here, underneath that bar, look what I'm trading into. Monthly pivot, weekly pivot, last month's monthly pivot, and the swing lows here in not even tandem, triplicate, quadruple. This is a strong level through here. So do I really want to take that risk? And I'd probably have to get them above the swing now. So 80 odd pips into first profit of 19. It's 1 to 4. I don't like it too much. And then you've only got a little bit to go as well to the weekly pivot. And then it's just not reward to risk appetite for me. Don't like it. Not saying it can't happen, that's for sure, but I think I'd rather let that go. Let's see what happens if we get down to the daily pivot today. But again, as I said, when these currency pairs start to reverse properly, or they really get into it, we oftentimes don't even see a daily pivot test. It just continues to go. We will monitor that closely, and if it does take off, then so be it. It'll take off without us, but if not, then we'll probably have something to look at. Speaking of breakouts and takeoffs, this is Aussie US dollar, as I spoke of earlier. And has the cycle and the sentiment cycle is what I'm talking about. Are we really now into that? And I think the answer may be yes. This may be too late for me. And I was waiting for the Aussie to get down to here to 67.50 or 45 before I look for the long. Too late, I think now. I think we've missed the opportunity to get that first phase. It doesn't mean we can't trade it. It just means that we've missed that nice little rally. If we can get a retracement and a higher low, then maybe there's an opportunity to get back into this. Maybe. but may, again, as I said, this may not come back at all. It just may keep going. And I think those of you who were in the room yesterday when I was talking about, don't be surprised if these things just take off and go to their happy hunting grounds in a flurry. And that one for me on the Aussie was here. I was speaking about this level yesterday, 70.80. We're now 240 pips away from that. So with that target still in mind, yes, we have to get through some resistance still. There's no question there either. And there's absolutely no guarantee that we're now reversing and not coming back. So there's going to be opportunity to get to there, is what I'm saying. So we've missed the initial move, big deal. It's not the end of the world. If we get a higher low here, or if we break this trend line and retest it, there's potentially multiple opportunities to trade this up to there if that's your want. It may not be your want. It's my want, and it's my want because I think that's a standout level for me. It's been resistance through here. It's been support through here again. And of course, it is now let's call it the intermediate trend line. That would be the primary trend line, I suppose. But it's pretty clear, pretty damn close to the primary trend line. And to come back and have another look at that is something that I would think is definitely on the cards. So I'm not forlorn or in any way dismayed by the fact that I haven't got this first move. If it indeed is the first move, yet to be proven, in my humble opinion. But it looks strong. There's no question that it looks strong. It's gone through every piece of resistance that's been put in front of it at the moment. And the challenge, of course, for us is to wait for that opportunity to get in. If there is to be one, it may just keep going. It won't go forever, of course, but it may keep going to a point where, okay, it's now too late to get in. We'll see. Just keep watching for those pullbacks. Kiwi US dollar, same story really. And my disappointment stems from what I was waiting for. I was waiting for price. And I said this yesterday, I don't know if I said it in this show, but I said if this candle closes bullish and decisive and doesn't go to heaven, which it tried to do, then I would look to place an order short underneath that. Let me just change that mouse, that color, so you can actually see it. Can I do that? Color. I don't think it's going to let me. Maybe I can make it thinner. So I was looking at placing an order short underneath there, and maybe looking at something in that vicinity to trade short underneath, because again we've got the pivots dead ahead and way too dangerous for me to trade that candle there. You'd be looking at only just a little bit better than 1-to-1 to get to the bottom of the range, and you've got all of this support to go through. It's a really tough ask, and the reward available for that risk is simply not there. I would love to see it happen, however, but such is the strength in this breakout. It's very, very difficult for me to be thinking that we're going here today. Can I trade it back to the pivots? Of course I can, and that is always going to be uppermost in my mind because I can't jump into the long here, that's for sure. So let's investigate how that might happen. That's the 4-hour chart, which really tells you everything you need to know. We've just burst out of this range and wow, skyrocketing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the last 11 candles have been bullish candles, and most of them extremely decisive. So that really tells you everything you need to know. Will we get a retracement? Don't know. Will we get consolidation? Most likely. But at this point in time, gee whiz, you'd want to be a brave man to put your foot on this and say, okay, I'm going to trade this short. I don't even see the level that you'd want to consider that. Maybe in here somewhere, but gee whiz, it's only a week-old level, I reckon. So no, this one's just on fire and very, very difficult to be calling this in any way, shape or form. Maybe you could use a pivot to look for a scalp short, but not interested, really not interested. Kiwi CAD, very, very similar and, disappointing because I think these opportunities that I was waiting for to get long down here are now pretty much off the cards. And again, same story. I can't look to trade this anytime soon. Really, what I'd need to see is some form of reversal pattern here now. Something that tells me this is actually going to slow down, but I I don't expect it. I really don't expect it anytime soon. And again, I'm just not interested. Aussie CAD was another one. We were looking for a higher low. Well, we got two higher lows really, but they weren't what I was looking for. I was looking for a higher low that took out this low. So in other words, I was looking for price to find liquidity down here with stops and then shoot off. It looks very much like it's found the liquidity that it needs and is headed for the stars. That said, we are at a resistance level and we've also just broken through this trend line. So as always, what I'll be looking for price to do is show me. So come back and retest it, consolidate, come back underneath it and retest it from below. They're the two scenarios that I'm always looking for. So once I've broken a trend line or even a horizontal level, I'm looking for one of those two things to happen: the retest or the re-entry. Either will tell me what the highest probability of the next move will be. So the retest without coming back below tells me the probability is for the long. The re-entry underneath the trade line or trend line tells me the highest probability is for the downside. Nothing ever changes for me. That's exactly how I look at the markets. Aussie yen, wow. This was always going to be, and all the Aussie pairs were always going to be subject to the news today, of course. And what I was looking for here was some bad news, not some good news. And had that been the case, we would have come back underneath that trend line. Again, what I was looking for, either a retest or a re-entry. Didn't get either really on this particular section of the chart. You could call that a retest, I suppose. When was that? On Monday. Was that yesterday? It's Monday yesterday, or was that last? Oh yeah, that was yesterday, right? So yeah, we kind of got that. Not decisive, and you expect that going into an interest rate announcement. We just got pretty much noise, and then we didn't check the trend line, and we didn't come back underneath it. So that ruins my opportunity to trade, unfortunately. And same applies. I've now got to wait for some form of reversal before I can trade that, or indeed a retracement back to maybe a higher low or something of that nature. This is the last one I'm going to have a look at, guys. It is Euro Yen, and I'm looking at the daily charts, and this is pretty much the line in the sand for me, not where we are, but just ahead, which is that level there, because it's the high of this lower high, if you like. So double top, lower high here, lower high here, higher high here based on this, but it's still a lower high based on these two, based on the double top. So that's still in play for me. The problem I've got with trading that, and as I've said, twice already today, but it's always going to be the way for me. If I've got untested pivots just below my entry, that makes it extremely tough for me to trade. I can see this bar, and I really want to trade underneath it, but here's the problem. I've got to go short there with my risk at least there, so 55 pips, and I'm trading into an 8 pip profit before I hit support. Not only support, strong support, because we've got the weekly pivot, the monthly pivot close together, and the bottom of the range into which we have now entered. So I'm not hopeful that I'm going to see a trade here. And as soon as that level's taken out, what will I be looking for? I'll be looking for a higher low. Because in essence, what we've done is come back into the range. And when we do that, I'm looking for the higher low. If price were to come back here now and hit these pivots and give me a reversal bar, that would be the signal to go long. So that is euro yen. That's the daily chart I'm looking at. So bearing that in mind and keeping this level in front of mind, let's take a look and see if there's a trade on offer at all for us. So the hourly chart is telling me that we are approaching that level I spoke of, right? How can I trade this? We've got a bearish engulfing bar here on the hourly charts. We've got a lower high at this point. That's why this level is so important to me. Do we have a lower low? I'd have to say no, we don't. So it's a bit messy. We go a bit wider. I'm looking for a confluence area of some sort, and really the only one I can see is a very acute trade line here. Daily pivot dead ahead, but it has been broken and retested, which is interesting. Gives me a little bit of license to trade it. I think the best case scenario for me here would be for this to break, find the resistance level, come back under, let me use the pen again, it's easier if I draw it. So break out here, find the resistance area, consolidate a little bit, pull back underneath both trend lines or both trade lines, then retest one or both, and then look to trade it either off there if you're bold, or off there if you're a little bit more conservative. You'd probably want to take profit here, although as I said, we have had interaction with the daily pivot already, and we haven't closed either side of it. That's not true, but we have broken it and retested it. This would be the next crucial one. So I would be taking profit before the daily pivot here, no question. So depending on where you want to find your entry, if you want to be aggressive, trade it from there short, taking profit here. If you want to be conservative, trade it from there short, again taking profit there. And your target has got to be here, guys. There's your target for what crosses this euro yen, right? So let me give you that level. If you haven't got the pivots on your chart, then the level you'd want to be exiting at is 120.4, let's say 42, 120.42, which would give you, about, let's say you entered there somewhere. Yeah, there's 40 odd pips available here, and your risk is probably only going to be around about, let me see. So you entered there. That's the conservative one. Your risk is only about 13 pips. So you've got 3 or 4 to 1 to get down to there. So it's not a stupid scenario to take, and I'd be okay with that. But the ultimate is if this level goes out, then we've got an issue, because we've still at this point got that that turnaround level, and here's where I'd be targeting most definitely. How's the pound trades going, guys? And has anybody noticed anything on the pound trades? Pound US dollar has been triggered and is out of the money at the moment. Pound yen has also been triggered and also out of the money at the moment. So here's what I want to do. I want to go back through both of these crosses and see if we can come up with any sort of formula, guys, that says, okay, here's the way that we need to trade this. Let's have a look. So yesterday, why have I got a question mark there? Well, I've got a question mark there because there's the bar that you would be trading. Do you really want to trade into the daily pivot? And the answer for me is no, I don't want to put an entry there. It doesn't make any sense to me. Could I stay in the long? Maybe. And these are the questions that we need to answer, right, before we go about trading this. So that's a no for me. I don't trade that. How about this one? It's exactly the same on the other side. So again, I say no, I don't want to trade it. This one here, got plenty of room before the pivot, so I'm okay with it. So we would have entered 5 pips below that bar, that being the 9 o'clock bar, or there's the range here. Still, you would enter there if you were using the three bar range. So you would enter here. Depends where your stops are, of course. We've got to work that out. Where's the best place to put our stops? Is it above the master candle, or is it above the candle that is the 9 o'clock bar? We don't know that yet. We need to optimize this, right? We need to test it forward and then go back and say, well, okay, what was the best way to do this? So let's say you use that bar and not the range. You would have entered around about here somewhere. And how many candles are you going to trade? Are you going to let pass before you say, let's get out of here? My theory at this point in time is 3 bars and 3 bars only. So there's the trigger bar. That becomes number 1. That becomes number 2. That becomes number 3. That actually would have been a small loser. Because, actually, no, about break even, right? If you've entered there on the yellow line. So about break even for mine. Had you left it open for another 2 candles, happy days, you would have got some money out of that, or even another 20 candles. I'm not suggesting that's a good idea at this point in time, but this previous day will put a lie to that, because there's the candle there, clear entry about here somewhere. Again, a little bit dangerous trading into the daily pivot, but there is room to take profit here, and I would most certainly recommend that. Trading into an untested daily pivot is not something I like to do. So for me, the entry might be here somewhere. I'd definitely be taking profit here, no matter how close it is to your first entry. Then I'd still be taking profit here, or I'd be moving my stocks to entry straight away, so that I don't get smashed out with a bounce off the daily pivot. So either of those two would be perfectly suitable, I believe. So these are things I'm throwing at you guys. Don't forget, you guys are making this strategy. I'm only showing you how to get into it. I'm not showing you the best way to actually manage it. That's up to you guys. I want you to come back at me. I'll give you my opinion later on, but we're probably a month away from that at least, because I really don't know yet. I haven't worked it out, and that's what we're trying to determine here. So you enter here, 1, 2, 3, you're out. So you close there, and you miss all of that. Big deal? Or okay, we need to focus. Good question. Here's the day before. So we enter on this bar here. 1, 2, 3. Close here, or we let it go. I think that's a good close. That's a really good close. Next day, or the day prior to that, there's your final bar. You enter here. 1, 2, 3. You're out. You're out there, or you let it go a little bit further. Maybe you go to resistance level. Let's work that out. You get plenty in the can there. That's a good one. The day before, there's your 9 o'clock bar. Entry here, you get taken in 1, 2, 3 bars. That's a good result on that as well. Or you leave it go to the bottom of the range. The day before that, there's your entry bar. 1, 2, 3, out. Another winner. So there's lots of winners. Entry here, 1, 2. You'd probably, unless you move your stop to entry here, you'd probably take a loss on that, or do you take profit at the low here? There's lots of things to consider. But I think you can see that by the entries, we've really got something to work with here, guys. There's your 9 o'clock bar. You wouldn't have been taken in because your entry's up here somewhere, 10 pips away from the high. You get taken in on that bar. 1, 2, 3. You're just in profit if you use the 3 candle rule, or you get out at support, which is the weekly pivot. Happy days. Or you trail. Do you trail it? What do you do? These are the questions. There's your 9 o'clock bar. Get entered there. 1, 2, 3. You close there. You take a profit. Otherwise, you get smashed out. So I won't go through pound US dollar, but it's going to be very, very similar, as I said before. There will be little nuances, but as you can see, there's all of these. You're getting entered just about every single time. And where do you close is a question. What management do you use is another question. But I think by these charts you can see that there is a potential here to make money, guys, and that, of course, is the name of the game. What do you think, fellas? Have you got any ideas around this? You don't have to answer now, but take it away with you and work on it. There are many other instances of these types of things that I'm going to be going through throughout the next 12 months or so. We'll get one of these nailed first, and then we'll move on to the next one, and so on and so forth. But I really want to develop these systems live in front of you so that you can actually get a handle on what you can do yourselves to actually go and find a system of your own. This is building a strategy. That's exactly what I'm doing right here in front of you guys. So I'm showing you that this is entirely possible to make money out of. Absolutely entirely possible. Just need to put a few parameters around it. And once we've been going for maybe 6 or 7 weeks, we'll be able to. I don't have the ability to optimize these, right? But I know some of the guys who have, and I don't want to give strategies to everybody, right? I think I'll keep this in this group for now. But I would like somebody, if they are and do have the ability to optimize these things, to take it on board. Because if you can't see that there's money to be made here, don't worry. But if you can, then here's what we need. We need somebody to say, right, we worked out that the best way to trade this is to enter on the bar itself and move stops to entry immediately you're triggered, and let it rip and trail to 30-minute bars. That's what optimization's all about. So that's the challenge. So I hope you guys are up for it. If you're not, then it doesn't matter to me. I'll still do it anyway, because I've meant to return to this for years, and I just haven't done it. And the reason I haven't done it is because I haven't been trading London Open. But now that we're in this show at London Open time, well, why wouldn't you want to trade London Open? Okay, guys, that's pretty much it. I don't have any entries as yet, but again, if we get back underneath here, take out these lows and retest on euro dollar, I'm interested in trading it short. Euro CAD, same. If we get back inside the range and find a lower high, I'm interested in trading it short. I don't see the Aussie as anywhere near possible to trade anytime soon, so I'll leave that one out. Kiwi is the same. Kiwi CAD is the same. Aussie CAD not so much. If this were to come back and give us a signal, retest the trade line or back underneath it, then we've got something to work with. And Aussie Yen, too far gone now. Euro Yen, again, watching this level here and waiting for an opportunity to use it as a lower high and trade it short back to the pivots. So there's a few things that I am looking at, guys, and as the evening goes on, I'll be looking to maybe find a trade or two, but it won't come quickly, that's for sure. I've just got to wait for all these levels to sort themselves out, and we get on one side or the other of them. So I'm going to bid you adieu, and let's see how those pound trades go today, and we'll come back tomorrow and have another look and see if we've got anything more to work with. So guys, take that as your homework, and if you do come back tomorrow, I want an opinion, okay, as to what you think is the best way to go about this going forward. Cheers, Rich. Have a great Tuesday, everyone, and we'll look forward to catching up with you tomorrow. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye for now.